Well, so the performance continues. So the performance continues into, she had a really big role, Miss Troxel.
Really good asset. Good. Glad they brought her back,
She's like, you know what? I'm also running again this year. I have a question for Tom Cardis. Tom, can you please... Hold on, let's play the clip for you.
Yes. There's a grinder in here, and I was wondering, Mr. Cardis, can you respond to that?
Yeah. One of the
Can you pause it here?
That's quite high. I think it's around 1.
So, does he ever have an answer to anything at all?
No, he's gonna look into it. He's prepared.
Never.
Think how prepared he is.
Why? We have 2 more minutes of this, guys, for you folks at home. This guy doesn't know any effing thing ever. Tell me this isn't script. You've got to be kidding me. All right, keep playing it.
$2 million is a shredder. Years ago, we had purchased a tub grinder. I think it was about 20 years ago. And what that is for is to put your tree branches, your stumps, the Christmas trees, all the brush that we pick up. Again, it's 24 square miles, almost 22,000 homes. And so what happens invariably, you get a huge pile of brush.
This is me going out of public works. That's the pile of brush there.
That's a huge pile of brush.
It's pretty big, yeah.
And so what we have been doing is bringing an outside contractor in to take care of that, because when we had that tub grinder, we had a myriad of problems with that piece of equipment, because I think the technology at the time was where it really is today. And so eventually that thing just fell apart and we just couldn't do it anymore. So we farmed that out. We've come to the realization that that is not a prudent thing financially to do. Last year, I think we had almost $400,000 in expenses to get rid of some of that stuff that was back there behind the Public Works building, that brush. And the decision was made with all the supervisors, with the mayor, with myself, that the best move would be to invest in a shredder. And so that will be located down at the compost site. And initially it will be located at Public Works to eliminate that pile. You need not only the shredder, but you also need a heavy piece of equipment with a grappling hook that can pick up that stuff and put it in that shredder.
$1.4 million he needs to spend on this. So, Joe, tell me that was that not...
Oh, that was...
He's never answered any question in as much detail as they need to spend this $1.4 million. No, your $1.4 million.
I would want to run around the corner up to where he's sitting and see if there's a teleprompter there, just scrolling through what he had planned to say. Because that was
unbelievable.
He knew the history. He knew how much money they're spending, how much money they did spend. Oh, man.
He knew the year, 20 years. Oh, my God. It's unbelievable. Like, you could point out so many different times where he's like, oh, if you'd sent me an email earlier, I would have known to answer this.
Yeah, is hell
okay, so are you telling us then, if that's your response, that someone did tell you, make sure you got all this S ready to be able to say? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. You had it was scripted, Tom.
Why is it?
Bravo. It was a great performance.
Why is it always Helen? Is the other ones? Did the other ones?
She's going to be running this year, so she has to.
Did the other ones realize that it's just way too obvious, and they're like, I'm not doing that, and she's like, I'll do it.
It could be. That's very possible. I don't know. And it doesn't matter for him. He's not elected, right? We've already went through that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just unbelievable. But anyway, this whole. So let's go a little bit deeper into this particular topic. The $1.4 million is there's like $900,000 that's for a shredder, and then there's $500,000 for an excavator that picks it up and throws it into the pile there. I couldn't believe how big a pile could possibly be that was worth $400,000 to get rid of. I sent in an Oprah request, and to their credit, it was literally the fastest Oprah that I've ever had responded. I had had word from people, not going to say who, but that this is an actual hot topic within the municipal building, this spending $1.4 million on a shredder. We didn't always spend $400,000 on shredding this stuff. I asked for all the receipts and everything, and then within the same day, that tells me it's like all this information was right there. They already had it, sent me all the information. The one part, well, there's a few interesting parts. The one part that I'm comfortable saying at this point in time right now is it's very interesting that there's a threshold, right? So if you have a project going on or a something where you're like, this is going to cost us like 150 grand, or I don't know, the bridge needs to be replaced over on the walking path, and it's going to be probably, I don't know, $250,000. You have to put out the bid, right? So now there's 5 companies have to come and bid on the whole process and everything else. This particular project here, I'm sorry, let me stop. So there's a threshold where it's like, all right, well, we need whatever, we need to buy a new printer. Well, we can just go to this company here and buy the printer. They're already approved through the the state or whatever, and we can just buy that printer. We don't need to put it out to bid, like the bridge, the walking bridge. The pile of brush, as they call it, somehow they're billing multiple times for up to the threshold of what that threshold is, where it doesn't need to go out to bid. And I know that this practice is used and abused in towns all the time. I know a particular person who's been on this podcast before who's actually called out a town where the mayor actually resigned because of the amount of heat that they got for doing exactly what is being done on these invoices here. Where like, really, that project is one particular project that should be farmed out to see how much this is going to cost as a whole.
Oh.
But instead, what they're doing is breaking this project up and saying, we're only going to do 25% of the pile, and it's going to be $40,000 or 40, whatever exactly the amount off the top of my head here. It was like $43,500. You're like, oh, well, the threshold's $44,000. Oh, that's interesting. Well, they did it in a quarter of the pile, and then a quarter of the pile 2 weeks later, and then a quarter of the pile again 2 more weeks later. Oh, and then guess what? The last quarter is going to be 4 weeks later. It's like, wait a minute. So you're literally on paper, on the invoices, saying it's only a quarter of the pile. It's this amount of money. Doesn't that, as definition, say that this project was worth this much more, and there's no RFP for this whole thing, a request for a proposal, a request for an invoice, or a dollar amount, and then it's done 2 times a year on top of it. So is that one project, or is that 4 projects, or is it? And then to top it all off, they get a little greedy, and they're like, you know what? We can actually spread this out. We can make it 5 payments instead of 4 payments. And we just put it into quarters. Now we're going to do it. It's going to be 20% of the pile. How the F do you measure 25 or 20% of the pile and then call it 49,000 or 44,000, whatever the dollar amount is, and then spread it 5 times over and be like, oh. So his comment about it costing $400,000 is also disingenuous. You know why? Because there's another bill to carry the stuff away. So if we're carrying it away, that doesn't go away if we buy our own shredder. That still needs to be hauled away. So where's that? And if we're buying our own equipment, we need to buy our own fuel. Well, how much fuel does that thing use? Well, I know the excavator is about 6 gallons an hour is what that cat burns. And then you got, the shredder on top of it. So don't sit there and tell us that you need $1.4 million and you're going to save it for us if that's not the case. I don't know.
Man. Wow. Yeah, I would not have caught that it was broken down like that. That's crazy.
I have it all. I'll put it on our website.
Does it all go to the same company, or is it splitting it across different companies?
Well, there's 2 different companies that are involved in it, and I didn't get to the point of breaking it down because as we're recording this, I just got this yesterday, and I despite popular belief, I do have other things in my life besides doing this crap. there's two different Stella Contractors Limited or something like that, and then the other one's like Bergenholtz. They're both out of Elmer, New Jersey. I don't know exactly where they are, but I found that odd. And they're both, so one of them is for chipping and the other one is hauling. But if you add the two together, and I went back multiple years to see, like, all right, is it just this year or is it next year? So right now in February is when we should be getting bills for this. Historically speaking, it's every other year has been in February, and in that video, that's where we're in February, and that pile should be going down. So I don't exactly know how big that is. In addition, I have called other towns. Other towns also allow people to come bring their own brush, and that's what that pile is. I spoke to someone over at Public Works, not to extend this even longer, but I did speak to somebody at Public Works, and they said that pile is residents bringing brush down, trees, branches that fallen down, and whatever else. So when we're told we get premium services in Gloucester Township, it's the exact same thing in other towns. I haven't looked into how they all handle it, but rest assured, I will look into it, and if it's something to note, I will bring it up, just like usual. But
wow, damn. Okay,
all right, let's move on.